you so much for choosing to watch this webinar on how to break up with being busy. I'm your Get Wise expert contributor, Dr. Valencia Moses, and let's dive in. So have you had those moments where maybe you ended up double booking, or you just realized the week felt super long, but it was only Tuesday? Sometimes those are signs that you might be in being busy mode. And I want to encourage you today with some tips, some things to think about to help you to break up with being busy. First is this idea, this invitation to embrace that being busy is not a badge of honor. Sometimes people get their sense of worth and value from everything that they're doing. And you might have heard this phrase before: we are not human doings. We are human beings. So this idea of embracing who we are and making space to be more of who we are is key to breaking up with being busy. We embrace that busy is not a badge of honor because we are more than what we do. And yes, I realize I'm being repetitive, but I really want that to sink in. And if you are a business owner, think about it. The next time you spell business, like busy or busyness is in there. So if you're a business owner, I get it. And that's an even bigger reason to break up with being busy, because being in a state of busy can actually decrease our effectiveness and our productivity. That moves me to the second point. I want you to choose to be more effective by being more selective. Here are some reasons why. Time, not money, is our most valuable resource. Think about it. You can make more money, but you cannot make more time. We're all working with the same amount of time, but it is impossible to think that we're going to be able to do everything and be everything to everybody. So to be more effective, we get to choose to be more selective. Think about it. Take a moment. Who has access to you? Where does your time go? I want you to be conscientious about your calendar. What I've noticed in my life, what gets on my calendar tends to happen. And because I'm a Gallup certified strengths coach and I use the Clifton Strengths Assessment with my clients, that becomes a tool and provides data on who we are and how we show up. And one of the reasons why I went into coaching was because of the breakthrough, because of the clarity, because of the language that I gained that came from me understanding more about myself. And in learning about myself, I've gotten really conscientious about my calendar, and I actually schedule margin. I schedule breaks. I schedule time to think, daydream even, just to give my mind, to give my brain a break. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But I hope that you take time to look at your life, look at your schedule, your planner, whether it's analog or digital. Whatever you're scheduling is probably getting attention. And sometimes we do not put ourselves on our own calendar. But to be more effective, we can choose to be more selective. That's a way to break up with busy so that we can have time to breathe. Having room in our schedules is so key, and I hope that's something that you consider. So kind of in this idea of choosing to be more effective by being more selective, I want to move on to my third invitation, to decide to be more by doing less. Yeah, you heard me right. Decide to be more by doing less. Okay, this is less about the to-do list approach to life. And I, for one, really enjoy checking things off of a to-do list. But I want to invite you to think beyond that. I want to invite you to focus on what you want to be able to say about yourself at the end of a day, at the end of a week, a month, a quarter. You get to decide on the timeline, but when you take the time to think about who you want to be, what you want to say about yourself, this is what's called identity-based habit formation. And this is the time where I give a shout out to James Clear, who's the author of a book called Atomic Habits. And he talks about this, where instead of saying, oh, I really want to write a book, an identity-based habit formation statement would be, I am a writer. When you focus on your identity, who you want to be, who you want to become, what you want to be able to say about yourself, it triggers your brain. It motivates your mind to start figuring out, well, what do I need to do to be that writer? Or maybe a better way to put it, what do writers do? And you start scheduling and thinking like a writer so that you can become who you say you want to be. I hope that example makes sense. Wild but true. Blocking out time to do nothing, to just be, is where your creativity and increased productivity come from. Now, I'm going to say something that happened many years ago, but I was in Nashville, Tennessee, and there was this store called Borders. Some of you might remember it. And I bought what was my first audiobook ever on CD to listen to in my car, or as Zig Ziglar would say, Automobile University. And that book was called The Now Habit by Dr. Neil Fiore. That book really impacted my life in a amazing way, because it helped me to start building in these rhythms so that I could have time to breathe. I would say it was probably the beginning of my journey of breaking up with busy and getting off the wheels, so to speak, of constantly going and going, because there's a difference between constant motion and forward motion. So in that book, it talks about positioning ourselves to be in more of a flow state. Because when we give ourselves the gift of doing less, we increase our time where we're in a flow state. Think about it. Have you ever been doing something you like and you're losing track of time because you're enjoying what you're doing, and an idea comes out of nowhere and it's like a solution or next step to something that has been on your mind? If that's happened to you, you can have more of that on purpose, but it's actually rooted in doing less. So seriously, try it out. To be more, do less. Again, time is our most valuable, precious resource, and you want to invest in yourself, which leads me to my fourth and final point. Run your race well by being the best you. Run your race well by being the best you. And that word well just dropped in there. So I want to share it with you in that way, because a lot of times the being busy, feeling like we are what we do and our worth is connected to like how full our calendar is, how many meetings we have, what groups we're a part of. Sometimes that can be rooted in comparison, forms of competition that can go to an unhealthy place. And I want to remind you that an original is worth more than a copy. I want you to think of yourself and your life as a masterpiece. And when it comes to comparison, we look, somewhere else. We see what other people are doing. We see the vacations they're taking, the things that they have, and we can go to this place of comparison. And comparison is a thief of joy. And sometimes when it's like an unhealthy competition, I've learned to ask myself this question. And that question is there someone I'm trying to impress? Is there some story I want to say about myself that isn't even connected to me? And this can be very powerful, and why reflecting is so important. Taking time to enjoy a break, to breathe, but also to reflect, because I'm going to say it again, being busy is not a badge of honor, because being too busy leads to another B word: burnout. That's why you need to break up with being busy. Another reason to avoid burnout. And you probably have heard the phrase self-care. It's super trendy, but seriously, part of breaking up with being busy is to take care of yourself. And self-care is not selfish. Caring for yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, financially, spiritually helps you to be the best version of you in life, in business, in whatever spaces you're in. You run your race by being the best you. So that means giving you what you need. And if you are in the business, so to speak, of pouring into others through the work you do in the home front or the work that you do beyond, no matter what you do, you are a leader. You are a person of influence. You are a powerful person. And powerful persons or powerful people, they decide how they're going to invest their time. So I'd like to conclude by inviting you to stop spending time and start investing it, to be more selective so you can be more effective. And I believe if you do the things that I've mentioned in our time together, because you chose to invest in watching this webinar, I believe you'll be successful at breaking up with being busy. And one more time, I want to thank Get Wise for this opportunity. And if you enjoyed my vibe, my energy, if you enjoyed what I shared, I would love to put my strengths to work for you. So feel free to book a call, to book a session with me through Get Wise. Thank you again for tuning in, and may you be the best you on purpose.